That's great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to greet our distinguished guest to this marvelous event, the seminar of plastic pollution from scientific to community perspective, a One Health approach. The first one, allow me to greet Bapak François Dabin from IFI Yogyakarta. Bonjour, Pak Dabin. Thank you for coming today. We would like to greet Professor Isabella Annesi-Maesano as well, joining us from Zoom. Good morning from your end, Prof. Isabella. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, Prof. Isabella?
I said thank you for the...
Great. It's really an honor to have you here joining us from Zoom. And we also have Bapak Khrisna Zaki from Nexus 3 Foundation. Pak Zaki, thank you very much for joining us. We are also honored to have Prof.dr. Mirwan Ushada from Director of Research Universitas Gadjah Mada. Prof. Mirwan, matur nuwun sangat rawuhipun.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Prof. Mirwan. And the last but not least, of course, Profesor Dr. Triwibawa, Doctor of Philosophy, Spesialis Mikrobiologi Klinis Konsultan, as the host and as the speaker and as the head of the Gugus Tugas One Health Collaborating Center Universitas Gadjah Mada. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Triwibawa. Thank you, Prof. Tri, for coming and for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to welcome you to the Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing Universitas Gadjah Mada. We would like to extend our gratitude as well to the faculty so they can facilitate this seminar. And this wonderful event, the Nuit Idées, the plastic pollution from scientific to community perspective, a One Health approach, is a collaboration between Lembaga Indonesia Perancis or IFI Yogyakarta and Gugus Tugas One Health Collaborating Center Universitas Gadjah Mada. And to kick off our event today, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. Please be seated. Dear ladies and gentlemen, as previously mentioned that this seminar is a collaboration between IFI Yogyakarta and Gugus Tugas One Health Collaborating Center Universitas Gadjah Mada. And to get to know more about this event, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bapak François Dabin as the Director of IFI Yogyakarta.
Gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very glad to be with you today for this hybrid seminar organized jointly by Institut français Yogyakarta and the One Health Center of Excellence, Universitas Gadjah Mada, on the occasion of La Nuit des Idées. La Nuit des Idées, in English, the Night of Ideas, is an annual event organized in more than 100 countries in the world by the network of Institut français since 2016. It aims to promote the free flow of ideas and knowledge by organizing seminars, meetings, forums, and roundtables, as well as screenings, artistic performances, and workshops around a common theme. For this 9th edition, the theme of La Nuit des Idées is Ligne de faille, or fault lines in English. This theme addresses the major technological and scientific advances underway, their potential to improve health, quality of life, or the environment, but also their real scope, their ethical implications, and public regulations necessary to support their development. During this week, the Institut français in Jakarta, Bandung, and Yogyakarta organized numerous events related to this theme. In Yogyakarta, Institut français and the One Health Center of Excellence UGM have chosen a topic focusing more specifically on the complex challenges caused by microplastic pollution, a contemporary issue for the environment, for animal and human health, and on the solutions that cross-disciplinary approaches like the One Health approach could bring. Before starting, I would like to thank the Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing of Universitas Gadjah Mada, especially Dr. Professor Triwibawa, Mbarima, and their team for the fruitful and efficient collaboration on this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci, Pak David. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next agenda. Gugus Tugas One Health Collaborating Center Universitas Gadjah Mada is under the roof of Directorate of Research Universitas Gadjah Mada, and it is an honor to have Prof.dr. Mirwat Usada to deliver his opening remarks and to officially open this event. Joining us from Zoom, please welcome Prof.dr. Mirwat Usada as the Director of Directorate of Research Universitas Gadjah Mada.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, our respected guest, Professor Isabella Annesi-Maesano, Director of Research Intern, University of Montpellier, joining from France via Zoom. Bapak Khrisna Zaki, General Manager Nexus 3 Foundations. Prof. Triwibawa, Head of Task Force, One Health Collaborating Center UGM, Bapak François Dabin as the Director of IFI Yogyakarta, and our respected participants. First of all, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to UGM One Health Collaborating Center Task Force and the Friend Institute in Yogyakarta for their collaboration in organizing this important talk. I hope my friends' language is good. La Nuit des Idées, or the Night of Idea, plastic pollution from scientific to community perspective through One Health approach. We would like to also extend our gratitude to our esteemed speaker for their invaluable contribution and insight that they will be sharing with us today. Thank you for your dedication and expertise in advancing our understanding of plastic pollution and waste management. Plastic has become an inseparable part of our daily life, yet with its benefits come inevitable risks. One particularly concerning issue is the escalating pollution of microplastic, which not only threatens environmental sustainability, but also impact to the human and animal health. This is why the One Health approach is highly relevant in this context, as it is recognized the interconnectedness of human health, animal health, and the environment. Recently, the issue of waste, including plastic, has been increasingly prevalent in our special region of Yogyakarta. Its impact on our environment, health, and communities cannot be understated. By addressing both plastic pollution and waste management in tandem, we can adopt a more comprehensive approach to safeguarding our planet for future generations. Through this seminar, it is hoped that aspect of plastic pollution from scientific perspective to its broader societal impacts. By bringing together experts from diverse disciplines and stakeholders from various backgrounds, we hope to formulate a more targeted and comprehensive solution to address this issue. It's worth mentioning that IFI Yogyakarta has indeed been collaborating with UGM for some time, like spanning across various faculties, such as Faculty of Cultural Science, Agriculture, and also the Animal Science, and now through the Directorate of Research UGM with UGM One Health Collaborating Center Task Force. We also extend the gratitude for Sp.MK, UGM, and our partner from France, including the University of Montpellier, CIRAT, and esteemed researchers such Professor Isabella Annesi-Maesano, who will be speaker of this event, and Professor Roger Frutos. This collaboration reflects our joint commitment to addressing the increasingly complex global challenge of plastic pollution through a holistic approach, guided by principle of One Health. This long-standing partnership underscores the mutual dedication to fostering interdisciplinary cooperation and addressing pressing issues like plastic pollution. I'm pleased herewith on behalf of UGM to officially open the seminar Plastic Pollution from Scientific to Community Perspective, a One Health Approach. Have a fruitful, productive, and problem-solving discussion. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof. Mirwan. Have a fruitful and meaningful discussion. We do really looking forward to the fruitful discussion. Matur nuwun, Prof. Mirwan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next agenda. This is without a further ado because this is the main event of the day. Without waiting for lebih lama lagi, mari kita sambut bersama-sama Bapak François Dabin, who will be the moderator of today with the topic Plastic Pollution from Scientific to Community Perspective, a One Health Approach. Please welcome Bapak François Dabin.
Since the mid-20th century, plastic has grown in importance in our daily lives. Over the past 20 years, plastic pollution in the world has more than doubled. It's mostly used in industries such as packaging, fashion, cosmetics, agriculture, and fishery, which appreciate its unique features. It's cheap and easy to produce, easy to transport. It's flexible and resistant. Indeed, it's resistant. But that's also where the issue lies. As opposed to other materials, it takes hundreds of years for plastic to degrade, even though 2/3 of the plastic produced are meant for short-term use only. As a consequence, 350 million tons of plastic waste are generated every year, and only 9% of it is recycled, while 22% is left out in nature, causing pollution on the soil, groundwater, rivers, and oceans. Reduced into tiny particles called microplastics, these toxic substances are inhaled by birds, fishes, and even humans. Without even noticing it, we eat, drink, and breathe microplastic on a daily basis. A recent estimate of the quantity we inhale is 5 grams per week. 5 grams is the equivalent of a credit card. That's how it's as if we eat one credit card per week. What are the consequences to human health now and in the future? What solutions can be brought to this complex challenge by new approaches such as the cross-disciplinary One Health approach? To discuss this issue, we have the great pleasure of hosting 3 experts today that I would like to thank for their participation. First of all, Bapak Khrisna Zaki. Khrisna Zaki is General Manager at the Nexus 3 Foundation, an NGO working to safeguard public, especially vulnerable populations, from environmental, health, and developmental problems. They work towards a toxic-free, just, and sustainable world for future generations. Its main areas of focus are management of hazardous waste and chemicals. Good afternoon, Bapak Khrisna Zaki. Second, Mrs. Isabella Annesi-Maesano, who is with us live from Montpellier in France. Montpellier, I guess. I don't know if Isabella can hear us. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, in Montpellier.
Montpellier. I can.
Just to confirm.
I can confirm. Thank you, François.
Thanks. Mrs. Isabella Annesi-Maesano is Director of Research at INSERM. INSERM is the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research. She's also Deputy Director of the Brest Institute of Epidemiology and Public Health. It's under INSERM and University of Montpellier. And she's also Professor of Environmental Epidemiology at Paris Sorbonne University and at Paris Descartes University. Good afternoon, Mrs. Isabella Annesi-Maesano. And last but not least, Prof.dr. Triwibawa, Ph.D, Sp.MK. Professor Triwibawa is professor in the field of chemical microbiology at the Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing, UGM. Currently serves as chairman of the One Health Center of Excellence, Universitas, Gadjah, Mada. Good afternoon, Prof.dr. Triwibawa. Before we start, just a few words about the format of today's session. We will begin with presentations by our experts. This will be followed by a Q&A session with the audience. So if you have any questions about the presentations, you will be able to ask the experts during this Q&A session. After this seminar, all of you are most welcome to join us just outside this auditorium for networking with snacks and drinks. So let's start with Bapak Khrisna Zaki, that we invite you at the front. So Bapak Khrisna Zaki will tell us about the waste management problems currently being faced by Indonesia and the environmental impacts they cause. The floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you, François. I think I will stand up so I can see my slide. Good afternoon, everybody. Selamat siang, Bapak-Bapak, Ibu sekalian. Thank you for having me to present here. Thank you for François and also for One Health Approach, gugus tugas One Health Approach, to invite me to be one of the speaker in this seminar. So maybe we can start my presentation. Okay, in this opportunity, I will try to present my presentation about the plastic waste management and microplastic issues. And first of all, next. Okay, I will try to explain about my organization or my NGO. The name is Nexus 3 Foundation. Actually, it was established in year 2000 in the name Bali Focus Foundation, as Bali Focus Foundation. But in 2019, we rebranded ourselves into Nexus for Health, Environment and Development Foundation, or Nexus 3 Foundation. And as Francois mentioned before, we all works with all stakeholders to safeguard the public, especially vulnerable population, from the impact of development on their health and the environment. And Nexus 3 works toward a just, toxic-free and sustainable future. And we also working in local problem, but with the global challenges. That's why we also affiliates with some local network and also alliance and also international network as well. For example, Nexus 3 also the co-founder and also joined the Aliansi Zero Waste Indonesia or Zero Waste Alliance of Indonesia. And IPEN is International Pollutants Elimination Network. It's a global network that consists of more than 500 organizations, civil society organizations from more than 160 countries all over the world. And also Nexus 3, also the member of Gaia. Gaia is Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives. And also BAN or Basel Action Network that working about transboundary hazardous waste internationally, and also break free from plastic. And WECF is Women Engaged for Common Future. And also we are a member of World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry. Next, okay. As I mentioned before, Nexus 3 is one of the member of Aliansi Zero Waste Indonesia. This is alliance of 10 organization, civil society organization in Indonesia. We can see here, one of the Nexus 3 is one of the member. Another member is Gita Pertiwi from Surakarta or Solo, and also Greenpeace Indonesia, and Walhi or Wahana Lingkungan Hidup Eksekutif Nasional. Also YPBB atau YPBB from Bandung, and PPLH in Bali, Ekoton from Gresik or Surabaya, East Java, and Nol Sampah from Surabaya as well. And then GIDKP or Plastic Diet Movement from Jakarta, and ICEL or International Indonesian Center for Environmental Law. And we are working together to promoting and advocating the zero waste approach and also waste management approach in Indonesia through the correct or the true zero waste approach. And it is based from the community, from bottom up. And also we also advocating about plastic waste trade and also chemicals in plastic, and also we also against about thermal waste processing, just like incinerator. And we are working in several locations in Indonesia, as you can see here. Okay, so at first I will try to bringing up the statistic of plastic waste and waste management in Indonesia. As the data that I got here, we got around 7.965 million ton of total plastic raw material, and from that total plastic raw material, we still have around 3.482 million ton of imported virgin plastic. This is data from Ministry of Industry in year 2021. And in Indonesia, there is 70 million ton solid waste generated in Indonesia. Is it like a domestic solid waste? And 12 million ton is consisting of plastic waste. It's data from Ministry of Environment and Forestry year 2022. And from that solid waste amount, around only 65.71% of solid waste already managed, and still the 34.29% is still unmanaged because there is like a lack of infrastructure and mismanagement of solid waste, and only 7% plastic waste that could be recycling. So this is very low recycling rate in Indonesia. This is the data from Sustainable Waste Indonesia. So there is like a lot of factor that makes the plastic recycling rate is very low, because we know that there is a lot of solid waste unmanaged and also plastic waste unmanaged, and to be recycled, it should be recollected again, and there is that not all kind of plastic can be recycled. Only several kind of plastic. Maybe some plastic can be recycled. There is if you look at the plastic bottle, there is like a code, plastic numbers 1 until 7. Only several that really easy to recycle, but most of them are really hard to recycle. Another problem is the recollection of plastic waste is still, there is a lot of plastic waste unmanaged and still dumped in the landfill. And today, I would like to focusing on the chemicals in plastic. So, as we can see here, this is the graphic that I got from UNEP and various secretariat. There is like a technical report about chemical in plastics. So from the raw material, this is from the extraction of oil and gas. There is like a petrochemical industry that to create monomers, and also there is like a from monomers we will be converted into polymers, and in that process there is like a chemical additive and processing to be before processing into the like a plastic materials. And so far there is like a more than 13,000 so far. There is like a more than 13,000 chemicals identified or detected in plastic as monomer, additive, and processing aids, and more than 70,000 analyzed for their hazardous properties. And there is like a more than 3,200 chemicals that still have potential of concern. From 3,200, there's like many kind of chemicals that need to be conserved, just like PFAS. If you have heard about PFAS, PFAS is like the chemical, or we call it forever chemicals. Is it carcinogenic? And usually it was used mostly in if you know Teflon. So it's anti-sticky chemicals to make like or your pen is not sticky, and this is very, very dangerous. And also there is a flame retardant. Flame retardant is like a chemical to prevent the material to be more really easy to burn. And bisphenol, like a BPA, and also alkyphenols and alkyphenol exohalate. And there is a lot of chemicals. This is only some of them, like phthalates and also pH, biocides, and UV stabilizer. And these chemicals are actually only few that already regulated globally in several legally binding international global treaty. For example, we can see here there is like a 46% chemicals that used in plastic without hazard data found, and there is like 24% chemicals of potential concern used in plastic and still unregulated, and chemicals of low concern there is 29%, and only 1% that already regulated. Is it regulated from several conventions? For example, in Stockholm Convention there is 100, and from Montreal Protocol there is 10, and also in Minamata Convention of Mercury there is like 18 chemicals. And there is like a lot of hazardous chemical along the plastic life cycle. For example, from the extraction and until plastic production and plastic product manufacture. And there is like a chemicals added during the plastic production. There is chemical added during plastic product manufacture. And when when the plastic product are used by the consumer, chemicals can be released during the use of plastic products. Another thing, when we're talking about recycling, during recycling is not during the recycling to create a new product. There is a need added new chemicals to make it more stronger and to make it the plastic or recycled plastic have a similar property from the plastic before, the product before. And also another problem for the disposal. There is some open burning of plastic waste can release toxic chemicals, for example, such as dioxins and furans, especially for PVC. PVC is the main source of dioxin if it burn on open burn or incinerated. And I will try to have a general about the human exposure to chemicals and plastic, and also human exposure of microplastic from chemical, because in the next presenter, Professor Isabella will talk further about the effect of microplastic into human health. So this is just a small example. There is a many source from everyday plastic products, and also plastic product that used by children, for example, toys, clothing, or furniture, and also the occupational hazard of plastic. And there is many exposure pathways from inhalation, ingestion, or dermal contact. And some of the adverse health effects, some examples are abnormal hormone function, because most of the chemicals are endocrine disrupting chemicals. So it will be there is disrupt the hormone function of human health, and also reduce fertility, damage nervous system, hypertension or cardiovascular disease, and lung and liver cancer. And this is some example from the current research. Is from 2024. Microplastic already found in human arteries. You can see in this publication. Also, microplastic also already found in human reproductive outcomes. So there is 16 different polymer types, and 2 studies reported association between lifestyle factor, like our daily water intake, use of scrupulencer of toothpaste, bottled water, and takeaway food, and placental microplastic. And 1 study reported association between meconium microplastic and reduced microbiota diversity. And 1 reported placental microplastic level correlated with reduced birth weight and 1-minute Apgar scores. And the conclusion, there's neither high quality observational studies to assess the effect of microplastic on human reproductive health. And this is another virus microplastic found in placentas, meconium, infant feces, breast milk, and infant formula. So microplastic is already everywhere in human body. Okay, this is another research that we done with IPAN, or International Pollutant Elimination Network. So we try to sampling plastic toys that already actually create from recycled plastic, and we check for especially BFR, or brominated flame retardant, one of the chemicals, and we found there is a recycled BFR plastic contribute the daily dioxin intake in children through smoking habits, because there is a lot of toys, especially we took the sample of Rubik cubes like in the picture, and you can see in the publication, and you can access in the IPAN website as well about this report. And there is several chemicals found in plastic toys that actually create from recycled plastic. And the question is for all, do safe and circular plastic really exist? This is the one that we need to answer. And maybe you can check and you can scan this QR code. There is a microsite from IPAN about the toxicity of plastic. There's one last slide. Sorry. So for the closure for my presentation, plastic pose hazard to human health throughout its life cycle. and we believe that there is no safe and circular plastic is. I mean, recycle is not forever. I mean, there is like a limitation of recycle. There is maybe only 2 times of recycle, so it's not really circular actually. So our recommendation here, we need to close the plastic tap. I mean, we need to reduce the plastic production. We need to reduce the production of plastic from the raw materials. And also we need to eliminate problematic plastic, especially the single-use plastic. For example, polystyrene, plastic straw, and then plastic bags, and microbeads. And also we need to eliminate chemicals of concern in plastic and try to find a safer alternative. And right now, it's happening in Ottawa, Canada, is the INC4, the negotiation of Global Plastic Treaty. And we really need to adopt global control of plastic with the Global Plastic Treaty, that including the control of the chemicals of concern in plastic. And for Indonesia, we need more research on impact of microplastic and chemicals of concern in plastic, including its connection for non-communicate diseases. Because there's like a lack of research about the impact of microplastic in Indonesia. And we need more data information about the chemical of concern that used in plastics in Indonesia. Because there is no open data from the industry, especially the plastic industry or petrochemical industry, about the chemicals that they use for the chemical and their plastic production. And another thing is we need to improve laboratory capabilities and capacities in Indonesia. Because, for example, it's really hard to check the dioxins in Indonesia. So previously, maybe if you can Googling about the dioxin X, we did the research. We sent the samples to Czech Republic with our partner in Czech Republic. And it's really expensive. And that problem as well that make the mandatory for the dioxin monitoring in thermal waste to energy. The regulation from the Ministry of Environment is only the dioxin only need to be monitored only once per 5 years. And when we asked the Ministry of Environment, they said because there is no lab that able to check the dioxin in Indonesia. And another thing is about the chemicals that are found in the microplastic as well. We still have difficulties to find the lab that capable and have the capacities to check in Indonesia. So maybe that's all that I can present for now. Thank you for your kind of attention. Next, for the further information, maybe you can check the website of Nexus 3 Foundation and also check our social media as well. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bapak, Khrisna, Zaki, for this presentation. So according to you, who can be the change makers to reduce use of plastics? Are these individuals by changing their consumption habits and by recycling more? Is it the government by enforcing binding regulations, or the industrials by adopting more ethical policies, even though it would be less profitable for them, obviously?
Yeah, actually it's more like a multi-stakeholders responsibilities. I mean, there is no only one responsible. The government had the responsibility for enacting the regulation, the stricter regulation, and more regulation that more like environmental and health, pro-environmental and health, not pro-industries, not pro-investment. And also the industry itself have to be more open and more have more like look more about the impact of the environment and also the health, environmental health. Because right now, because our government itself, they are right now it's like a investment pro. I mean, even the one of the largest petrochemical companies in Indonesia is Chandra Asri Petrochemical. It was given tax holidays by the government because they are like a huge investment and open like a more field of works. But actually, we don't need that. I mean, we need to reduce the plastic production, not to try to increase the production of plastic. And from the consumer point of view, the consumer need to be changed their behavior. I mean, we have to be not more, because right now people tend more to be like a consumptive. Especially we know that the easiness of using plastic packaging we can use, and after that we can throw it away, and we don't know where it goes, where it really goes. And I think consumer need to be more like a more concerned at using not single-use plastic, but more like a reusing, and like a more, if we buy like a personal care product, like buying in more high, like a huge amount in bulk, not in sachet, because sachet is not a problem. Sachet is maybe the industry said, well, it's pro for developing countries. It will be supporting for the low-income communities because it's cheaper to buy. But actually, it creates another problem because most of the sachet are multi-layer, and it's really hard to recycle. And if you ask for the recycle or for the waste pickers about sachet, they will say sachet is one of they cannot sell. So this is like a multi-stakeholders problems that need to be working together.
You mentioned while we are talking this week, there is a crucial intergovernmental meeting on plastic pollution in Ottawa, Canada. Potentially, this meeting could lead to the adoption of the very first international treaty on plastic pollution. So what do you expect? Do you expect something? Are you optimistic? And what do you expect exactly from this treaty?
Well, as long as I following the negotiation of the plastic treaty so far, there is like a two, what we call it, there's like a high emission coalition and low emission coalition. So the low emission coalition is the one that came from the countries or parties from the mostly are oil and gas company that have interest or have more about the plastic industry. So in our opinion, we need to have like a more strong plastic treaty that not only talking about plastic from in the downstream, I mean for the plastic waste management, but we need to treaty that covering all life cycle of plastic from upstream to downstream, from the start of the production, from the virgin plastic, and also from the extraction from the oil and gas, for the petrochemicals, and also on the chemicals that aided in the plastic production, and also in the plastic use, and in the downstream we need also have the concern of the how the plastic waste managed. So it should be the global plastic treaty should be strong and should be cover all the whole life cycle of plastic.
Thank you. You talk about the fact that there's a lack of research about the impact of mikroplastic in Indonesia. Maybe we can ask our next guest about it. So let's turn to the floor. Let's turn the floor over to Mrs. Isabella Annesi-Maesano.
Thank you.
Mrs. Annesi-Maesano will tell us about the effects of microplastics pollution on human health.
Thank you. Yes, not about the situation in Indonesia, because that it's too complicated for me. May I know where I'm going to change the slides myself or not? That's a question.
I think it would be more simple, yeah. if you can share your screen and
Okay,
show your slides.
yes, I
Thank
can
you.
sure, I can just a second. So, okay. So, okay. So, that's perfect. Can you see my screen? That's there is some delay on what I do and what you see. Anyway, so thank you very much for this kind invitation, Dr. François Dabai, Professor Tri Wiban. I'm very interested in interacting with you, so I'm going to present mainly health effect of plastic on human health. A lot has been said by the previous speaker, so it will be easier for me. These are my conflict of interest, and none in the field of what I'm going to present. So just a short outline. I will repeat, sorry, some concept that have already been provided, properties of plastic, positive and negative aspect of plastic. Don't forget, I'm a medical doctor, so for me, plastic in some way is good. Types, category, family, plastic, and then plastic pollution with some data, human health hazard, life cycle stage of plastic prevention. So my point of view is as a medical doctor, epidemiology, to provide you with data, with studies, and also to show how difficult it is sometimes to find some relationship between plastic and health, because we are in real life. So plastic is everywhere. These are pictures that you have already seen. I will repeat also what is the world status. In 2020, when there was the COVID, we had 500 million metric tons of plastics. China is one of the largest producer and also user. By 2050, ocean could contain more plastic than fishes. And on the right, you have the plastic waste volume worldwide. So waste, I insist on this point, as you doubled between 2015 and 2050. And what is important is 91% of plastic is not recycled in the world record. And this is a very new data. Overshot day for 2024 to will be 5 September, and this reflects the annual point when plastic waste generation surpasses the world capacity to manage it. And I really hope that Ottawa meeting on plastic will to find a solution. So already said, plastic is a Latin name. I'm a Latin in the ancestry because I was born in Italy. It was Parkes that invented it. The properties, that's why it's so well used, is that strong, light, flexible. I'm not going in detail on all these lines, but it's cheap compared to metals and reusable and recyclable, but not biodegradable. And positive aspects are also that we need to insulate, we need the medical care because it resists to chemical, water, grease. And negative, we already said, it is not biodegradable. And when it burns, it is at the origin of a very dangerous air pollution, and itself is an air pollution in the air. and in the food. So mainly three original plastic: petroleum, coal, and cellulose. Only the last one is at the origin of renewable sources of plastic. And as well said by Dr. Khrisna, Zaki, the problem is also that in the synthesis of plastic, there is the addition of other substances. I'm in some way, we never talk another kind of problem with plastic, and I'm not doing either, is that plastic can be colonized by bacteria and by molds. And I saw in my work on plastic that this can be a problem. So family of plastic, I think you are familiar with that, PET, HDPE, PVC, etc. And for example, PET, polyethylene terephthalate are in fizzy drink bottles, and PS, polystyrene, are our yogurt pots. That's to show that in everyday life we are in contact with this plastic. This is the same. So let's have a look to microplastic sources in the world. This is a nice paper published in PNAS, which is a very good review. That this is situation for USA, with a lot of plastic coming from road breaking emissions, but the rest are sea spray and urban centers, soil emission, landfill erosion. The problem is that all this plastic goes in the air. There is a first contamination in food. We are aware of that, but the most important thing is that the plastic is in the air, as shown by these fragments of polymer particles in the city of São Paulo, for example. And I want to show this important paper by our colleagues in USA still, that show different sources of microplastic particles. You can see here honey, salt, alcohol, tap water, sugar, bottled water, seafood, and wow, air was the more contaminated environment. And actually this contamination is going to increase as it has been estimated. So we say that because there are many studies. I'm not going in detail in this table, that is very boring, but here you can see that according to the kind of an environment in different counties and cities of the world, with different sampling approach, they could assess the presence, the existence of several microplastic polymer type. So very long and very consistent too, because here in the second table you have the particle per day per square meters, and sometimes, like here in Paris, we found a lot of fibroplastic in the air. So which are the impact of the plastic on a human body? Many. You can see respiratory, because we are inhaling. You have some reference here. We on the nervous system, kidney system, the digestive excretory system, placental barrier, skin. This has been said already. And then we have the reproductive disorder, heart diseases, diabetes, obesity, and fetal brain development. And actually what we know is that adverse health effect of exposure to microplastic can be separated in two categories according to physical effect related to the particle size, shape. As you saw in the previous slide, there were some lines indicating fibers. We know biologically that fibers can be very dangerous, for example, and the concentration of microplastic. And the chemical effects that are related, obviously, to hazardous chemicals that are in the plastic, heavy metal, various classic, the persistent organic pollutants. Dr. Khrisna, Zaki already mentioned it, PFAS, for example, or phthalate, and as I said previously, also biocontaminants, bacteria, virus, and mold. So reproductive disorder probably is the first one that was identified in 2013, showing a relationship between one phthalate and egg maturation in women, and then the interference with the endocrine function involving the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, and finally an effect on puberty ovulation that can lead to infertility. There are also data on production of spermatozoid. Heart diseases, also low dose of BPA is related to cardiovascular disease. As Dr. Khrisna, Zaki said just yesterday, another publication showing that plastic can be seen in artery of people, in blood vessel, a nice picture that is really scaring. And so my last line findings suggest that this type of exposure could trigger atherosclerosis, more a blood pressure change, more and more tree. Then diabetes, body weight, obesity have been related to many endocrine disruptors, to which belong BPA, for example. And what is has to be stressed that this started from in utero life, and unfortunately women and pregnant women are exposed to cosmetics, plastic products, personal care products, medication, sometimes even more than in regular non-pregnant life, I should say. And this has been related to problem to pregnancy loss or other problem during pregnancy. This is true inhalation or the skin contact less with the digestion. So one among other studies finding plastic in placenta, this is the Placenta study, which was the first evidence, but since then there are other study having shown the presence of microplastic in placenta tissue that obviously challenge the immunological mechanism of self-tolerance that may perturbate by the presence of such substances, and they can accumulate, exert localized toxicity by enhancing a strange, a modified immune response, and potentially reduce the defense mechanism against pathogens. So really completely crazy situation. And because of this contamination in utero, there are also data on fetal brain development that is impaired by such. Cancer has been read in several ways, because I'm taking here the example of BPA. This is very similar to estrogen, the natural hormone. So is an estrogenic agent that binds to the same receptor than the natural hormones. Because of that, is the origin of different kind of cancer, among which ovarian cancer and breast cancer. So, but to move to what I do in my research is the impact of plastic on respiratory health, and this is double. On one hand, there are the effect of inhaling plastics, microplastic, and the second is the effect of burned plastic byproducts, because I work a lot on air pollution. So this is an example. Here you have the sources, you know already, of indoor outdoor plastic debris, industrial processes, 3D printing. We know it smells a lot when we do 3D printing, synthetic fabric clothes, road dust, where there vehicular tires, microplastic litter, landfill. Also, in some way, the same picture provided by our colleague in US, with all the activities that are related, abrasion for the fabric clothes, fragmentation, etc. So because of that, there is the proof of the inhalation of these plastic. And the first proof, as always, comes in people that are excessively exposed, that these are the workers. So several occupational studies that can be found a very nice review, systematic review published by Wright and Kelly at the Imperial College, have shown that according to the occupation, nylon flocks was related to higher prevalence of respiratory irritation symptoms, and also reduced lung function, interstitial lung disease. Synthetic fibers, one again, nylon, can cause an allergic reaction leading to occupational asthma. And once again, this is really important. Interstitial fibrosis, which is a nasty respiratory disease, and foreign body containing granulomatosis, which is like a granuloma, is a formation of that is not regular, is a lesion with acrylic, polyester, and nylon dust was found in lung biopsy of these workers. And so, but there are also others, but the idea is that they are excessively exposed, and they didn't think that this was dangerous. They did not use protection. What about the general population, where the level of plastics are lower? And this starts with patients in which there was in biopsy for a tumor, they found the plastic, which is strange. And this was explained about this mechanism, can be explained by this mechanism. A is the normal situation where the surfactant, this film that protects our lung, is with the mucociliary clearance, you know, these seals that help to avoid the contact and the persistence of the aggression, protected against microplastic. Here you can see the small and B is the situation where this film is no more protecting, and there is no there is the macrophage clearance. And when there is an excess of microplastic, then you have the penetration and also the starting of various situation, and mainly bioaccumulation, toxicity, and translocation which means plastic going elsewhere from the entry. I'm not commenting that at all, but I want just to show in this slide that there are many experimental studies in vitro, so taking cells, taking line biopsy, but also in vivo, so in animals. Generally in animals are other rats, mice, but also fishes, because they react very quickly, showing that the effect of plastics were chronic inflammation, cell proliferation, secondary genotoxicity, mucociliary clearance rate, as I show to you in the, and acute or chronic inflammatory process. So well documented. And to summarize the effect in humans in real life, data document the presence of respiratory irritation, which means a lot in excess of respiratory symptoms, coughing, wheezing, shortness of breath, inflammation, also which is at the origin of chronic lung diseases, like asthma, for example, impaired lung function. This is a very important marker, because when lung function is too low, when the amount of air in your lungs are not enough, this is a predictor of significant predictor of mortality. Increases susceptibility to infection because of a diminution of the immune response, and carcinogenesis. So I work on asthma. There are many data now showing that several microplastics are related to asthma, but the most documented are phthalates that are in plastic to make it soft. And you see here the amount of study, 542, etc. Just a table showing most study, overall my study here, Vernet and others in birth cohort, where we assessed phthalate in urine of the mother during the pregnancy, and this was related to asthma of the child, and also to a diminished lung function, which is not good, as I previously said. And also, but I didn't put, we found that these phthalate phenols too were related to an increased risk of eczema in the life. So I want to introduce just briefly a concept that is important for the One Health discussion. And this is the concept of the exposome, which means, in analogy with the genome, the totality of environmental exposure with environment defined in the larger way, physical, chemical, social, to which an individual is exposed during her life, since the preconception to death. And the chronic diseases we are seeing that are increasing now, which prevalence is increasing, cannot be explained by just taking one factor, but needs to be explained by taking into account the exposome, which means several risk factors, and taken alone or in combination, meaning interaction between the factors. Here you have the exposome for asthma. As you can see, there is the food storage where can be found plastic. You also hold the products, phthalate exposure during pregnancy, personal care products, and as Dr. Khrisna Zaki said, yes, maternal education is also important, because if you want to participate in the avoidance of plastic, obviously this has an important role to play. And other factors, obviously, area, breastfeeding, etc. So this can be explain why we have to take into account several factors to explain the prevalence, the increase of prevalence of asthma. So I'm almost finished. And obviously, as I said already before, factor affecting the risk depends on size, shape of microplastic, chemical composition, but also individual susceptibility, because we are not all equal for the plastic exposure, also for the immunological response to plastic. Just briefly, when plastic burns, there is a release of poisonous chemical, including dioxin, which Dr. Khrisna Zaki was talking, and but also that becomes very dangerous because then they accumulate in food chain, etc. But also ultrafine particles and some gases. So just this is a summary of what I was saying. So there are two dangers for us, and prevention of plastic. This has been said. Refuse plastic carry bags at the grocery shop. Reduce, choose a product with minimum plastic package. I think we are moving towards something of this kind. Reuse and non-toxic container goods. Recycling is not a sustainable solution because it doesn't work. So to finish, I don't know if I really need to say what has already been said. Probably I prefer to think that as a researcher, we need really to study more, because what I have when I go to discuss with member of parliaments in France or in Europe, they want data. They want data showing that there are relationships, that there is a danger that becomes a risk, and this cannot be. So what we have so far is not enough. Because the economic situation is in favor of not changing so much the work of people or etc. So that's my project, but I will show only whether if you are interested in. It's quite complicated, as you can see, and I thank you. This is my team in Montpellier. Thank you so much.
First, is there any reasonable way to protect yourself from inhaling microplastics? I mean, is it useful to wear a mask on a permanent basis, to drink water
Yes,
before we drink,
yes,
or to
I
avoid
should
eating
say
fish?
yes, but it works. There are data showing that if you wear a mask, yes, it works. But I mean, can we live with the mask? We saw that. I mean, this is not the reply of a scientist, not the one of a medical doctor. It's a practical reply. We saw during the COVID that carrying a mask was difficult on the long period. So I think it's more to go towards the reduction emission and the avoidance and eviction. And these, there is a main difference between indoor settings and outdoor settings. In indoor settings, overall in our places, it's clear that we can really avoid to use plastic and to inhale it.
We still have courageous people in this audience wearing masks, so it seems possible. Maybe for your questions afterwards, for the Q&A session. Sorry. Yes, one last question. Yeah, you say we are still short of data, so it's not yet possible to estimate the number of deaths every year in the world caused by the inhalation of plastics? Microplastics, sorry?
Not, I mean, not for sure, not a good estimation. You know, we have also a bad estimation for air pollution in general because it's an underestimation. So not yet. Because you know why? Because we need to know all the diseases that are related to plastics, all. That's an important. Then we have to make a difference between the other pollutions. So it's a complicated, even from the methodological point of view, estimation.
Okay, thank you so much. We already have some questions in the audience, but we'll keep them for the Q&A session afterwards. Now let's hear from Professor Triwibawa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Triwibawa will talk about the importance of the One Health approach for solving the microplastic problem with a cross-disciplinary approach.
Yep. Thank you, Pak Dabin, and thank you for inviting me also in this seminar. Yep. I myself, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Triwibawa. I'm a professor in clinical microbiologist. I'm a clinical microbiologist by training, and now I'm as a chairman in the task force for the One Health Collaborating Center in UGM, and really pleased that Mr. Dabin has been approached me to collaborate and also attending this seminar as a speaker. Next, please. Lanjut, Pak. Ya, lanjut lagi. Yeah, I just want to echoing what Pak Zaki and also Professor Isabel, that plastic actually it is already in our daily life, that whatever, when we are wake up, we touch and we using the plastic. When we trying to eat or feed our children, also we using plastic also. And then even when we are sleeping and whatever we do, we use plastic all the time. So it is really indeed that plastic is in our culture, our habit already. Next, please. Yeah, so in that is why the production of plastic is very high, especially from the 1960 up to now. Is the production is exponentially increased, and then it is count around 400 million tons in the 2019. Next. And because of the plastic is usually intend to be single use, so of course when we produce plastic massively, then the next please. Then of course the waste will be increased also. Then we produce around 353 million tons, and then after that it is end up to the mismanaged and litter plastic around 82 million. Then of course it's going to be a burden of our environment actually, because we produce massive, and then Pak Zaki just mentioning that actually although it is recycled, but only 1 times or 2 times only. So basically it is going to be single use, right? Next. Yeah, and then we are in Asia, and for unfortunately, because maybe because related with the population, so our contribution to the waste of the plastic that is going to the sea, for example, it is enormously higher in the world. It is around 80% of the global waste of plastic is contributed by the Asian countries. Maybe it is related with the population, but if we counted the population of the Asian countries is around 4.7 billion or something, and then the Africa is 1.9 or something, then it is not proportional actually. So meaning that us in Asia is produce more waste, plastic waste than the other country. Yeah, next. Yeah, the plastic pollution. Now we just heard, listen from the previous speakers that it is difficult to degrade, and Professor Isabel just highlighted that it is going to be related with our human health. But actually, if we think more, then the problem will be the problem of the plastic pollution is in the environment, and it is related with the social thing that we, because for example, we just have a problem with the TPA, with apa sih TPA itu? The landfill, landfill, right? So, for example, Yogyakarta has a problem with the landfill before, right? So plastic is everywhere, right? And then after that, people starting to quarrel in each other how to dispose their waste, especially for the plastic. It is going to be a social thing. And economic, for example, if we saying that plastic is very cheap and it is easily to produce because the industry is already established, then it is going to be lower down the production. For example, if we want to have food industries, for example, using this plastic is much more economic comparing with another package, for example. And then animal and human, of course. Sebelumnya, Pak. Yeah. So the most important thing is that the plastic can be transferred to microplastic and nanoplastic, as highlighted before. It is going to travel some for animal and also in human. Next. Yeah, this map is just to want to highlight how is the litter and plastic pollution is mapped. You can see that ASEAN is still the best. Not the best, I mean the highest, not the best, the highest. And you see Indonesia is contributed around 10% of the global plastic waste, 10%. And yeah, 10%. It is high, of course. Yeah. And if you're talking about 353 million tons, 10% mean around, you can count, right? Please, after that. Then next map is, next part. The next map, we want to highlight that Indonesia is mismanaged around 81% of the waste. So meaning that there is a problem. We have many plastic waste, and then we have also problem to manage that waste. Yeah, this data is come from the UNEP, so I believe that is going to be credible. Next. Yeah. So plastic is degrade very slow. It is going to be centuries in the environment. Even we can say that almost undegradable, right? And then only 9% are able to be recycled. Well, 12% is incinerated, and almost 80% is going to be end up in a landfill. So what happened in the plastic in the landfill? Of course, nobody know what will happen, right? Because nobody care about that actually. And then after that, if there is a social initiative, for example, that we going to collect the waste of the plastic, for example. It is easy actually if it is big enough, like still in a bottle, as a plastic, a sachet, another package, for example. We can just pick it up, and then after that put in another the proper way to manage the waste. But actually, the problem is when the plastic has become microplastic and nanoplastic. You can see here that the nanoplastic is it cannot barely seen by our eyes, because if you want to see the nanoplastic, mean that we have to use the electron microscope. So it's very tiny thing, right? And then after that, another microplastic is we can only see this plastic with the light microscope. So have you ever tried to see the plastic using light microscope? I don't think so, right? But there are many there, right? And then the direct impact of this plastic pollution is a lot in the environment. First is climate change, and then the biodiversity loss, meaning that we are not able to protect the extinction, the many organism or many living creature that is lost or extinct because of the microplastic pollution in environment. And also disruption of the absorption of carbon dioxide by marine organism, and also it may have impact in the soil. So if we still using our land, our soil to plant our food, then the problem is happen, because it might not good enough for us to provide food by using our land because of the pollution of this plastic. Next part. Okay, this picture I want to emphasize that actually there is a direct relationship between the plastic and climate change, because when we produce the plastic, actually we produce so many carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. So once again, climate change, it is like a circle that is going to effect to another thing, that of course is going to be end up to our healthy and also animal and environment health. Next. Yeah. So what about the effect of the microplastic to the animal health? There is I just want to emphasize one report that almost 60% of the fish that is collected from 24 countries, and it is consists of around 198 species have a microplastic in it. So meaning that if we can imagine now that if the fish is one of the food of the animal or other predator, or we ourselves is one of the consumer of the fish, then what will happen? Of course, the microplastic will be transferred to us, and the story of Professor Isabel will not be avoided, because we consume that actually, right? And then because of that, many premature death of the wildlife will happen, because they sick, they are being sick, and they get toxicated by the microplastic. And then because of that, the change of the food of the wildlife will be changed. And then of course maybe this predator will not have enough food. And then after that, what will happen? They going to go to the extinct, for example. But they're going to go to our neighborhood, for example. Then the interaction between wildlife and also animal and also human will be very close. And then if you come back to the theory that actually sometimes that we have new emerging and reemerging diseases because of the change of the interaction between wildlife and also the animal and also human, then it will be happen all the time because of the extinction of some of the wildlife. Next. Yeah. So I just want to echoing what the Professor Isabel mentioned. The human exposed by the microplastic is because of through the inhalation, dermal exposure, and also ionization. And then the dermal exposure is somehow it is very slightly not really happen, but the inhalation and ingestion is there. Next, yeah. Once we have the plastic, microplastic in our respiratory tracts or in our intestine, for example, that is going to be absorbed, and then after that spread out through all our body. And then of course the impact will be like this, right? The microplastic may lead to the oxidative stress, and then inflammation, cellular toxicity, and then disturbing the energy homeostasis in our body, and then disturb lipid metabolism, and then also somehow it is going to be related with the change of our immunity and also the neurotoxicity. And this is the pathogenesis behind all the disease that is going to be happen in us. Yeah, and then another 2 point is that the attachment of the habitat for pathogen bacteria. Just because I'm a clinical microbiologist, so I need to highlight this because microplastic can be a habitat for the certain pathogen to breed. Then this pathogen usually is pathogen that is infect the animal and also human being. So meaning that if there is microplastic, there are bacteria in the environment that is might be contribute to our infectious disease, right? And then the other thing is that if you have a bottle, if you have can in the landfill, for example, or area surrounding us, then it might be the good breeding place for the pests and the mosquito. So of course, if you learning the vector-borne disease like dengue, hemorrhagic fever, malaria, or other diseases like chikungunya, Zika, for example, it is because of that. So of course, if you have a plastic pollution in, surrounding us, then not only the disease that is correlate with this one, the oxidative stress and other metabolism disturbance, but also by infectious disease. Next, Pak. Yeah, this is the this picture. Just want to summarize that many diseases are there, and then Professor Isabel have already detail presented to us that it is true that microplastic may change our healthy condition. Next. Yeah, now I want to introduce the One Health concept. Yeah, the One Health concept or One Health approach is basically we are going to consider that our healthy human being healthy is really interact and really intersects with the animal health and also environmental health. So meaning in another word is that if the environment is healthy, then the animal healthy will be maintained, and also our healthy also. Yeah. So we can saying that the healthy of these three sectors will be one package. So for example, if we are change our habit or our lifestyle, that for example, consuming plastic, for example. So of course, it is going to change the healthy of the environment and also the healthy of the animal. So One Health concept is like that. The three condition, the three aspect of environment, ecosystem, animal, and health of the human is one package. Yeah, one sector is health, another sector will be health in healthy condition also. And then if we talking about the three aspect of the environment, animal, and human as the sectors, then the One Health concept, on one hand, of course, is always saying that there should be multi-sectorial thinking, meaning that there is no traditionally people that is working in environment, people that is working in animal health and on human health will not communicate each other because they are thinking in a very silo condition, right? Even we are when I'm listening what Pak Zaki present to us today, there are many theoretical things that is always that maybe only able to be understood by the chemist. But I'm not a chemist. I'm MD, of course. I cannot understand about that, right? So because of that, because of this condition, so this the three sector is sometimes somehow the person that is working there is working in very silo condition, cannot communicate each other, right? Even they don't understand each other, and sometimes also they saying that my sector is the most important, like because I'm working in the human health, then I'm saying that all the things to be end up in human health, right? So you have to consider human health. But another, for example, the veterinarian like Mbak Rima saying that the animal health is also important. Whatever you say, I'm still with animal, for example. The environmentalist also, whatever you say, that's I have to save my environment, for example. Okay, then what we propose using the One Health approach is that we need to collaborate each other, we need to communicate each other, and we need to coordinate each other. Then hopefully it is going to be a capacity building among us, among the sectors. Yeah, the problem is that communication, like I mentioned before, right? Maybe Pak Zaki cannot understand when I'm saying about the disease, right? Because he's not the doctors, and he's not an MD. But really true, I cannot understand also whatever what Pak Zaki explaining about the component of plastic, how deal with the plastic, the process, plastic production, for example. Okay, so and also the thing that we have to understand also that actually this collaboration, communication, and also coordination should be able to be implemented in the society, from the global society, from international society, national society, until the local, even in your RT, for example, if you are Pak RT or Bu RT, you can just implement it, the One Health approach in your community actually, right? Okay, next. Yeah, so I will also introduce the five foundational principles of the One Health itself. The first is that there is an equity between the sectors, animal, human, and environment. The second is that there is a socio-political and multicultural parity. Yeah, meaning that we have to embrace everybody. Yeah, even the marginalized population, that is, for example, the poor, for example, the uneducated person. How can we convince the people that plastic is dangerous? Plastic can be produce many diseases. If we're talking about the person that is actually never go to the school even, right? So it is going to be challenging also. Right? The third is that we need to maintain the equilibrium between the three aspects: environment, animal, and also human. And the third is that we need to stewardship and responsible for the human behavior change, meaning that we have to adopt that we need to change by ourselves. Right? Otherwise, if we are not able to change, to collaborate, we are not able to change to thinking about animal health and also environmental health, then we are not implementing One Health at all. And the last thing is that we have to work transdisciplinary and multisectoral. Transdisciplinary meaning, yeah, I just mentioned before, the MD should collaborate with the DVM, should be collaborate with other experts like chemists, for example. Next, please. Yeah, so why we need the One Health approach for this microplastic and nanoplastic pollution? First, we know now from the beginning we talking about, we discussed today, we know that the problem is not only in the human, but problem is also in animal and also in environment. So meaning that the problem is cover the whole world, right? Every every aspect is there. So we have to use the One Health approach for that. And then the second is that we need to think multidisciplinary. Otherwise, we cannot understand. We cannot understand each other. And then also, when we do the risk assessment of the plastic pollution impact in our health, for example, it should be also in a multidisciplinary. For example, particle toxicity. Maybe we need a toxicologist. For example, the second is the absorption and the release of this compound in the environment. Then we need to talk with the environmentalist or biologist or other expert, right? And then change the process of the population. If we want to say that please do not use plastic, for example, or we going to advocate our government, there is a punishment of people if you using the plastic, or if you dump the plastic in the environment, for example. So not like that easy, right? Because we need to talk with the social scientists. We need to talk with the economists, maybe. We need to talk with the anthropologists. And because we need to understand the culture of our people to change the process, it is not easy, right? Before we use the daun pisang to eat, right? And then now we wrap it with the plastic. So this change of the behavior, it is not easy. Okay. Then the next, for example, for the infectious disease expert, we need to talk about the possibility that nanoplastic can be a vehicle for the antimicrobial resistant gene, for example. Yeah. Next, please. So this is I borrowing the picture from this publication. It is true that the microplastic can be related to the human health, animal health, and also environmental health, and not only these four aspects that we need to understand, because there are many other things, like for example the factor for organism, the microbiome, for example. Yeah, there are many things that is intersect each other and also interrelated. And then there are many also experts that is working on it, like we need a politician, for example, to make a regulation, and then scientists like Professor Isabel that is have a research about that. Agronomists, for example, how to deal with how to still produce food from our land that is already contaminated with microplastic, for example. Chemists, how to make plastic that is degradable, for example. Physician, of course, because many people got sick because of that. And then veterinarians, many lions is starving because they don't have the food, because many wildlife creatures are extinct, for example. Biologists, engineers, designers, and also geologists, for example. This is the example that we need many people to communicate with each other, and then they have to work together. Otherwise, if we want to like advocate our government to some policy, for example, it will not work properly, because if we are not invited many people to think, then with a different background, maybe some aspect will be left behind, right? And I think that is end of the presentation. Thank you, Pak David. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Professor Triwibawa, for this presentation. Applied to the plastic pollution, is it, as we saw, it's a very complex problem involving so many people from so different backgrounds. Is it really possible to bring at one table all these people from so many different backgrounds?
Yeah, that is the main problem of us when you implementing the One Health approach, is that even we don't understand people actually which people are really understand in certain area, because we don't know what is your expertise, what is other person expertise. For example, even when we talking, we using our language, right? Yeah, then people doesn't understand. Yeah, for example, I'm an MD. I'm talking about the disease. I'm talking about infectious disease. Maybe other person cannot understand, right? Then sometimes we don't understand that it is interrelated and connected, right? So one thing that we need is just please do the forum like this, yeah, communicate each other, and then be open mind, and then for that one, of course, we need the willing of all the people, including the government, to invite many people. And then microplastic pollution, of course, it is not the mainstream of One Health lecture. Usually, One Health lecture is correlated with the infectious disease, zoonotic disease, right? But now that actually there is another problem outside of the traditional. For example, we just have the anthrax. Then okay, this one health. We just have COVID. Oh yeah, it is infectious disease. But actually, there is a lot of problem. For example, the microplastic. Yeah.
So actually, if we come back to the history of One Health's approach, it really developed actually 20 years ago, if I'm not wrong, during the first pandemic of H1N1 pandemic. Yeah. 20 years ago. So can you tell us more about it?
Okay, yeah. So it was around 1996 when we have a possible pandemic situation with influenza, bird flu in that time. And then people starting to realize that actually this bird flu will not be spread among human if we think that there is a connection between animal and human. And then after that, because of that, people starting to thinking the eco health or One Health. So yeah, it is true that it is not new. It is not new thing, but implementation is challenging, really.
Could you tell us about the project you work on at the One Health Center of Excellence? Using the One Health approach.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, what we do with the gugus tugas or task force of the One Health Collaborative Center or One Health Center of Excellence is we trying to become a hub to communicate each other, and especially for the education and then research and also community service. We serve as a hub, so meaning we invited many people to communicate with us, and then also we going to invite another person that might be connected with them. And also we have a challenge to give this knowledge about the One Health approach to our students. Yeah, because our last survey saying that actually One Health is not yet really recognized by the student even. Yeah, they understand that they need to working multidisciplinary, but One Health, they are not really understand. So it is our challenge also. Yeah.
Time to switch to our Q&A session. So please, if you have a question to ask to any of our experts, please raise your hand. Okay, this gentleman, because he asked first, actually.
Thank you for the presentation and the explanation. And in this session, I want to say something about the question. And the question I want to say concise and succinctly. So the question is is it possible to release the plastic from our body and minimize bioaccumulation within the health approach? Maybe this question I want to say, I want to ask to the Madam, Madam Isabella. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I understand well, you want to know whether we can have an epuration of plastic, is that?
The answer
Yes,
is-
François. Right. So, as you have seen, most of the pollutants contained are POPs, so persistent organic pollutants. So these stay for a while, but in general, yes, there is an epuration from our body that can take more or less months, I should say. At the time they are there, they are initiating processes that engender the immunity and the rest. So, so far, we don't know how to really epurate them in a short time, I should say.
Yes, next question.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. My name is Jessica. I'm a head in advocacy and education from Nirmal Nusantara, an NGO that focus on circular economy and sustainable environment. I would like to ask to Mr. Zaki and Professor Tri. So, plastic is a valuable economy waste by saying that Ikatan Pemulung Indonesia in our FGD a week ago at Bantar Gebang state that most pemulung or waste picker depending their life on plastic. So, but seeing at the harmful impact of the plastic to human health, are we heading towards a plastic-free campaign for the future, or should we put more emphasis on regulation and recycling to accommodate the economic potential of plastic waste? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, Jessica, about the economic value of the plastic. Yes, actually, we don't want, honestly, we cannot live without plastic, actually, currently. But what we try to change is how to make our lives is less dependable with the most problematic plastic. Just like the single-use plastics and the plastic that really hard to recycle. As we know, there is like a 7 category of plastic with the number 1 until 7. And actually the one that really easy to recycle is only number 1, the PET. The other is, maybe it can be recycled, but it's really hard to do. But yeah, if we talk about the waste picker, in our campaign, we also try to have like a program in the just transition, because we cannot directly to stop plastic production, and it will close the livelihood of the waste pickers, of course. That's why we also try to think about the just transitions. So we also think about the livelihood of the workers in the plastic industries and petrochemical industry. There is like a lot of laborers there, and if we try to stop, maybe we should try to how to change or shift the livelihood. I mean, maybe the petrochemical can switch their business into other production. Maybe, for example, that's we call the just transition. That's why it's a really, maybe I will try to suggest I really agree with the One Health approach. I mean, this is like a work of the many kind of experts and many kind of stakeholders that really need to work together and really need to communicate between each other. I mean, there is like a different language between one expert to another expert, right, Professor Tri? And that's why the communication is important, and we believe that with the working together, we can find the best solution, like a win-win solution for all. Thank you. Maybe Prof. 3 can add something.
May I? Yeah, sure. Thank you. That is the. I'm just echoing, highlighting Pak Zaki saying that is the why we need the One Health approach, because we need to invite person that is really understand how to tackling down the problem when the plastic is, for example, the plastic consumption is declining, and what will happen with this pemulung, right? Because they need to live, they need to change their way of life. Otherwise, if they are not there is no plastic waste, then how what happen with them? So of course, we need to invite economists, we need to invite social science or humanitarian scientists to do that. And of course, we cannot just neglect it, whatever voice of this segment of our population, the pemulung, you mean, right? So we have to listen to them. What is their perspective about that? Yeah, I'm not able to saying that. Yeah, it is going to be just leave it like that. For example, no, we need to just. I want to emphasize that we need to talk with many people to understand the global problem. So we will able to provide the best way to us, because you know the plastic risk is there, but the need of these people, the pemulung people, because plastic have economic value for them, is also important. Yeah. Thank you.
I forgot something. I will add a little bit. We're talking about the waste speaker. In Break from Plastic movement, we're also working together with the waste speaker communities as well, because we understand that waste speaker is one of the most vulnerable population that affected. If we talk about the chemical of concern in plastic, because they are directly touched with the plastics. And also when we talk with the waste speaker leaders, for example, in Break Free from Plastic movement, one of the leaders is from Kenya. He said that he had an experience that a lot of his waste speaker friends that already have like many kind of disease, and also some of them already died because of the disease. So they are the affected communities because of the plastic itself, actually. That's why we try to working together with all stakeholders and also with the waste speaker as well. Thank you.
Next question.
Just,
Yep.
Isabella, may I say something? I think, unfortunately, we have to take into account the economy behind all that. In my experience, fighting against air pollution, etc., water is the main challenge is to say to economists that they will earn money, not only lose but earn money. And in health issue, we have the fact that long-term effects have to be taken into account, all the direct, indirect costs. When you have the balance, then you are convincing in some way. But otherwise, that's really complicated. That's my experience in other fields, not in plastic, but air pollution, diesel, etc. So to be taken into account in our discussion with the policymaker.
Thank you, Isabella. Next question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Oke, je m'appelle Musliman, je suis étudiant à Yogyakarta. Maintenant, I wanna ask some question. We are living in nature before so long time ago, and it is a bit difficult to get something like some plate or something else. And now we are living in a new era that we can easy going to get so many easy thing like glass glass and also plastic glass, maybe plate glass and so later, and many else. And then my question is how to manage plastic so that we can use plastic but no negative impact that we can get. And then how is our future at our final about managing between natural life and also modern things, so we can live with completely or perfectly life with healthy life. And then okay, thank you very much. And then okay, the last I think there are so many people or some like NGO and many else, but to complement to complete like to conducting that, is it a bit difficult like to educate them? How is to educate them? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I think the questions were asked to all of you. So who wants to answer first? Bapak Khrisna, Zaki. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I will try to answer it first. The first one is how we to manage the plastic that we use, right? To make sure that is it safe. Yes, I mean, this is really is it like a challenge work for everybody. I mean, right now we don't know whether is it really safe. Even this is a plastic plant in front of me, and I don't know is it safe? Is it any chemical inside it? Because there is like no disclosure from the plastic producer. They are not disclosing what kind of chemicals of concern that they are being used in their product, right? So one thing is there is need to be like a transparency of information. It need to be there is like a regulation from the government of the politician that forcing the producer to disclose the chemicals that they use and to make sure that the plastic that people use are safe to use. Yes, we cannot live with the plastic, but we try to eliminate or we try to reduce our dependency on plastic. I mean, especially with the problematic plastic. For example, the single-use one, like a plastic bag and the polystyrene or styrofoam, is really dangerous actually. And also, if we're talking about PFAS, in Nexus 3 we also had like if you're visiting like in like a malls or in a shopping center, you know that the microwave popcorn that we buy in a stall, and they put the popcorn with it packaging into the microwave, and we check the packaging and we check the PFAS on the packaging, and it contains PFAS as well. And it need more further research about the transfer of PFAS from the packaging into the popcorn itself during the processing in the microwave. So that's why if we knew more, it would be like a more frightening, Professor. I mean, there's a lot of chemicals surrounding us, and more PFAS, more about mercury and heavy metals. There's a lot of chemicals, and if we knew about the impact on the environment and the health, it will be more frightening. So the point is, the community need to be make sure and well informed about the safety of the product they are using. That's the point. And one thing that need to be done is there's like a transparency and disclosure of the information about the chemicals that's being used by the producers, the food producer and etc. about the chemicals and about so the consumer have the right to know about the safety, the health risk and everything regarding the chemicals that being used in the product that they use. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. May I add? Yep. If the question is, do we still save if using plastic? Yeah, there is some plastic that is recommended. For example, food grade plastic, for example. Yeah, that's the first thing that we can do, right? But another thing is that we need to do the stewardship of the using of the plastic itself. Do we need the plastic to life, for example? If we need that, then okay, we can use that. Otherwise, if it is not really important, we can avoid that. That's the second way. Then the third way is that we can just control the waste, as I mentioned in my talk before, that not only the plastic that is come to our body when we using, but actually there is another possibility that the waste of the plastic is doing more harmful comparing with that is direct effect to us, for example, infectious disease, the wildlife, environment, and we have even new terminology. We call it as plastic fair, for example. So we can just control that one first, right? So the negative effect of the waste itself also will be the one that is going to be helpful if it is controlled by us. Yeah, but come back to the first question: is it possible that we use plastic safely? Yeah, it is possible if we using the plastic wisely. Yeah, for example, do not use plastic too much. I mean, meaning that if there is another way, to avoid, then please do. I'm not the expert of the plastic actually, but of course that is my opinion. Please, yeah.
Thank you. Isabella. Yep.
Yeah, if I can complete, actually, although some plastic can be considered safer than others, I think as an epidemiologist, I have to say that safe can depend on the use. When you heat plastic, then you have problems because, for example, even if eating plastic in the microwave, as you said, for the popcorn example, they can degrade it. So, but what is very important is the education. We can, and the communication information. So we can tell people what to do, what not to do. And this is a good start. And to follow what Dr. Khrisna Zaki said, I want to give a figure that is frightening. Since the 1960s, the human beings have created 300, or at least 300,000 new products. Okay, so ex novo, PFAS, plastic, etc., etc. And among these products, only 35,000 have been tested. So all the others are unknown to us. And why this? Because as he said, because there is no obligation to give data. All the industry give data, obviously, but the right data are not there. For example, the long-term follow-up for many of these products are not given. And so we are surrounded by products that can engender, for which the regulation, the regulation are not good enough to protect the health. That's really my point of view, and I insist. I would like a dream sometimes, like for the medication and the drugs. There is an obligation to test before selling. And what we see is that in the case, it was in the past of plastic, it was sold without any test. I mean, only the industry. But this is not enough. We know very well because they have a direct interest in selling. I'm a little bit simplifying the issue, but this is what we have against which we have really to look for having new regulation.
Thank you, Isabella. Next question, two more questions, and we have to stop because we are a bit behind the schedule.
Thank you very much for the reception. Good afternoon, Prof. Isabella, Prof. Tri, and also Pak Zaki. Thank you very much for the opportunity today. My name is Priyaska. I'm a lecturer from UGM, Faculty of Agricultural Technology, and I'm conducting microplastic, especially research, since 2017 until to date. So it is just such interesting topics for me, especially for health perspective. But there are two questions that I would like to ask. First, for Pak Zaki, as I really interesting about how you tell that the rubric toys can get impacted to the health of the children. My question is that how we can identify the composition of the plastic waste or the microplastic itself from your former methods. I mean, what types of scientific method that you use to analyze the dioxin, for example, or maybe PCB and others elementals. And the second one, I would like to maybe ask for Prof. Tri, as I'm really interested to collaborate in the One Health. In your last slide, you mentioned about risk assessment, but nowadays, even if I'm still conducting research in the microplastics in the river water and biota, we still didn't have any quality standards or maybe limited concentration about if the microplastic impacted to the water, for example, how many the concentration should not be avoided and so on. But Prof. Isabella said that the concentration and the didn't mention the concentration, but various diseases that we have maybe discussed in this afternoon. So that's my question, that how we maybe gradually develop for the risk assessment of the microplastics itself. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will answer the first question about regarding the Rubik report. Yes, for the Rubik, for the children toys, actually we check the chemicals inside using the easiest method is using XRF analyzer. It's just like a X-ray fluorescence as an analyzer. There's like a portable one, just like a thermal gun like this, and then we check what kind of chemicals inside it. Another thing that we did for the analyzing is we send the samples to Czech Republic with our partner in a lab there, because there's no lab in Indonesia that able to check, especially for the chemical of concern that we want to check, especially like for the BFR, the flame retardant, dioxins, and etc. So that's why it's really hard to do the analysis in Indonesia, because there's a lack of lab capacities that available in Indonesia. So maybe that answers the question.
Terima kasih. If I'm not mistaken, the question is how can we referring the concentration of the plastic or nanoplastic and microplastic in the environment that is going to be considered as dangerous. The threshold. Is that correct? Yeah. 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 That is another
not easy.
yeah, that is another example that sometimes the silo is there, right? Because if we want to know that, then there should be a study that is using, for example, using the animal model, for example, and then after that we can extrapolate it to the human, for example. But the problem is that because the research is not multi-sectorial, then that's maybe if it is going to be help if you, for example, collaborate with people that is from medicine or in health science, then that is going to be good. Prof. Isabel maybe she's saying that it is not easy, then maybe there is no threshold at all.
To me, there is I know one paper, that was a public, but it was a title, Paradigms to Assess the Human Health Risk of Nano and Microplastic. Because when I'm very accustomed to, but this is a very good question at risk, and we need to start to study that, to investigate. But when I have experience in air pollution risk assessment, what do we need? We need the percentage of the population that is exposed. Here probably it's easy, everyone is exposed, but we need still to have those highly exposed and those that are not exposed. And then we need, yes, the threshold, and also I see as a problem the fact that we have several plastics. So we need to have what can be called an hazard identification. So which plastic are we? For phthalate, some risk assessment can be done easily than for other, for example, because in the case of asthma, we need also to consider the health effect, which kind of outcome we want to study. But this is a good suggestion. I will think, we'll start thinking about how doing, for example, for phthalate, this can be, approached, not really done, but it's a complicated issue. So is that clear for everyone? What is the risk assessment? Yes, I think so, no? We are in a public health school, so it should be easy. Anyway, this allow to compute how many people are diseased or die because of exposure to some substance.
How many more questions? Oh my God. How many can we take?
You have to cut.
Isabel, do you still have a bit of time, or you do have
a little bit.
A little
Yes.
Not sure we can take all the questions.
Okay. But put the line.
Okay, so our short questions maybe.
We have also to be short in reply, probably. That's a good issue.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hayla, and I am from Department of Chemistry, Gadjah Mada University. I am a final year undergraduate student, and I'm currently taking my undergraduate thesis in microplastic, for particularly airborne microplastic. I have a questions for three speakers here. I just want to ask. I just want to make it clear, how is it like in Indonesia for now? Because I think the current research in Indonesia for now, I think it's more into like water and also for in biota. But how about the airborne microplastics that is happening currently in Indonesia? If we want to make more from the chemist eyes, how is it like, how to make any new method and to fix the impact and to reduce the risk of microplastics? Thank you very much.
May I answer first?
Yeah, because I'm not replying for Indonesia.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay,
go for it.
Yeah, if we're talking about the airborne,
I have my limit.
yeah, there is a lot of research about the microplastic in water, For example, from our college in Ekoton, maybe you can check in the Google. They are doing like a lot of research on microplastic but if we're talking about the airborne, maybe we can check about the microplastic concentration in PM 2.5 and PM10. Is it, Isabella? You agree?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, because we know that in air pollution there is like a particulate matters PM 2.5 and PM10, but inside that particulate matters there are a lot of things. There's a lot of things, maybe chemicals. It could be chemicals. It could be heavy metals. It could be microplastic as well. So
and even biocontaminants, pollen, mold, spore, bacteria, virus, everything. When you look with the microscope, you find everything, even COVID.
Yeah. So if you want the idea for the research in airborne, maybe you can check the concentration inside that particulate matters. So you can check what kind of, is there any heavy metals, is there any microplastic, and if you can found the laboratory, you can check what kind of microplastic that exists inside the particulate matters, and also what kind of chemicals as well. Maybe.
Sorry to complete. In one of my slides, I show what they had when pumping the air. You remember they had the PET, they had the other. So it's really what you are saying. This has been already done. It's the proof that it's in the air.
Yeah, but in Indonesia, we still haven't.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet, yeah. Thank you.
Professor Triwibawa, you wanted to add something?
Yep. In Indonesia, I'm not really sure that in medical and also health science, many people working with macroplastic pollution, because we are not really aware about that at all now. And then maybe after this, because we have seminar in Faculty of Medicine, maybe many people, Bu Nisa especially, for example, he's the one of the pioneer here that is working with the microplastic. Please just ask, what do you call it? Invite other people to pay attention about this. Or you have any comment maybe?
Okay, thank you. I saw one hand raised in this area. A question here?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fani Sukriyafatma. I am from Biology Department. And thank you for the nice presentation, Mr. Khrisna, Prof. And Mrs. Isabella. I want to ask some question. In general question, maybe to end this question belongs to Mr. Khrisna. And my question is, we know our government has taken this plastic waste issue seriously and plan to be a plastic-free country. But I ever heard a statement that Indonesia is keep importing waste, importing plastic waste until it goes beyond our management capability. Is our country is on track to be to becoming a wasteland? Is that our country is on track becoming a wasteland? Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, we're talking about the imported waste and the emission of our government. Sometimes we're a little bit confused between the regulation that already issued by the government, and regarding the implementation, sometimes it's a little bit contradiction. But if we're talking about the imported waste, we do the advocating the waste trade, the imported waste trade into Indonesia, and that's why we also working together with the Basel Action Network that monitoring the many kind of waste trade, not only the plastic waste trade, but the issue is when one of the actor of the importer of the plastic waste street is the paper and pulp company. They said they imported like for the raw material for their production, but it contains like a contaminant and actually plastic. And what happened? We also already did the field visit in several pulp and paper company in Indahkiat and also in I forgot the name, in Karawang, and also they took the paper and they throw away the rest, the contaminant. That's we need to advocate. We try to advocate, and the problem is the custom. They don't have any method to check how many percent of the contaminant. And actually, we have the regulation that there is like a threshold for the contaminant for the imported waste. So it need more like a implementation of the regulation from the government. It need to be more serious. Yes, you already had the regulation, but you need to implement it if we want to be on track to be what our future will be. That's it's still working. Yeah, this is like a working on progress on advocating that, especially in the waste street. And we are working together with the Ecoton as well. They are because several I forgot in year 2019 or several years ago, there's like a case of imported waste street that happening in East Java, and if you check the dioxin X, yes, we send the sample of X from free range chicken in nearby the dumping area of the imported waste, because in East Java the paper company dumped the waste, and the community surrounding the company using that plastic waste that dumped by the paper company from the imported waste as fuel for frying tofu. You know that there a lot of plastic burn for frying tofu, and we want to check the dioxin, and so that's why we took the sample of eggs from the free range chicken, not the chicken in the farm, that in the conditional farm, but free range chicken that living surrounded the frying tofu and the burning of the waste happening. And we took the sample, and there's a high concentration of dioxin inside of the egg. Why we're using egg? Because there's like a fat in egg that is the easiest way to check the dioxin. And yes, we check the dioxin not in Indonesia. We send the sample abroad because there's no lab in Indonesia that able to check it, and it's very expensive. And that's why we only have do the sample for only small amount of sample, because yeah, it's very expensive. Thank you.
Thank you. Bapak Triwibawa, you wanted to add something? No?
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I think it was mostly focused on Indonesia, so maybe.
Yeah, so if
It's
this is the case, I can go because I cannot reply for Indonesia. Sorry, I will study the situation.
So maybe now a question for Isabella.
I will have a private session maybe with Professor Isabella, but I am very sorry that I have to ruin the fun because of the time, Pak Dabin. Yeah, I think you should
conclude.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very sorry about this one.
So thank you so much to our three experts today. I think we can give them, we can applaud them.
Okay, bye.
So thank you, Bapak, Khrisna, Zaki. Thank you, Mrs. Isabella Annesi-Maesano. We are very sorry we are late. Huh? We've taken more time than expected, but we really appreciate your presence online. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to all of you for attending this seminar with us today, offline or online. Thank you again to the Faculty of Medicine, Public Health and Nursing of UGM, Dr. Triwibawa, Barima, and the whole team for hosting this event. And before we move to the reception with snacks and drinks, just outside this auditorium. I invite all of you for the front for a picture.
Yes.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you very much. Please give applause for, for ourselves. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Isabella. But we still invite you to join the group photo session. If you don't